welcome to Life Coaching on the Move. I'm your host, Dawn Fiske, coach, trainer, podcaster, YouTube, all sorts of things, and have been for the last 18 years now. Welcome along. If you're new, I'm really pleased that you're here and you found this podcast. There are many episodes you can look back in the library and listen to. If you're one of my regular listeners, I'm so grateful for you and your time and the fact that you're showing commitment and you keep coming back. Thank you so much. Today's episode is all about social connection, social isolation, loneliness, how to overcome it or how to help others, how to recognize it and what to do about it. And at the end, I've got an offer to anybody who may be going through this as well. So if this doesn't necessarily affect you directly, please pass it on to somebody that you are worried about, who you feel may benefit. Other than that, just a couple of things to say before we launch into this. There are all sorts of online programs that you can download and own for yourself. There are workshops coming up in January. There's the 7-week life skills and confidence workshop coming up in early January, and the 3-week stress management workshop starting in early January. So if you are interested in any of those workshops, please have a look at the website. There are also gift vouchers for coaching sessions that you can buy for a loved one and make a real difference to them with your present this year. If you go on the website and click on the page for gift vouchers, there is one voucher for 2 sessions and there's another voucher for 3, depending on what you want to give your loved one. So have a little browse through the website and see all of the things going on. www.milestone-coaching.co.uk. And if nothing else, you can just drop me an email from there about any subject or maybe a topic for the future podcasts. Anyway, let's not waste any more of your time. Let's crack on to this week's episode about social isolation and loneliness. I hope it helps. Today we're going to talk about a topic that is relevant at all times, but possibly more relevant at this time of year than normal, and possibly more so this year than any other year previously. I'm talking today about loneliness and social isolation. It has been found so many times that loneliness is a health issue. It actually damages our health. It can have a huge impact on our physical health, our sleep, our blood pressure, our cholesterol, our mental health. We're more likely to pick up bugs and germs and coughs and colds and cancers and things like that the more lonely we are. It's believed to be related to dementia, potentially. So it affects our mental health. We're more likely to get depression and stress and be unproductive. So for all those reasons, we need to focus on it. We need to talk about it. We need to address it. We need to help it. We need to look out for it. Or we need to admit that that's how we're feeling if it's us. So we either need to look out for others and support them, or we need to put our hands up and say this is how we're feeling if it's us. I remember for me, I think my worst time, one of my lowest moments in my life actually was when I had the realization of how alone I was. And I remember it actually physically hurt. It physically felt like a pain. When it really hit me, it was when in between I'd divorced. My first marriage had broken down. I had what I used to call my bachelor pad. It was a little ground floor masonette that I lived in after the split of the home. And at the time, at this particular time, I was a medical rep. So I don't know if you know much about medical reps or sales reps really, but I was very much on the road. I had a huge territory over lots of Hampshire, down the south, Portsmouth and Bournemouth and Southampton, and all through to Dorset, and miles I would travel per day with a massive customer list. So I was predominantly in charge of my own day. I would structure my own diary. I would book my own appointments. I would cold call to doctors' surgeries and hospitals in the afternoon. But if any of you know anything about, this was a good 25 or so years ago, 27 years, something like that. If any of you know anything about that, generally, if you don't turn up, they are not going to chase you. You know, you are asking them for an appointment most of the time. It may be a lot different now, but those days we were quite often cold calling, trying to get in front of the GP and trying to talk about our product. But actually, if you miss that appointment, they would be out on their house visits, or they'd be in departmental meetings. They wouldn't chase you for that appointment. So that was the way I was working. Now, I was being managed remotely because we were all out in the field. The whole sales team, all of the sales reps were out in the field, and our managers would manage us remotely via the phone. We would have catch-ups once every couple of weeks, and we would have team meetings every few months, and annual all-company conferences 3 times a year, but predominantly every day you were out there by yourself, driving your own diary, arranging your own day, and pretty much at the end of the week you would report in your activity, but up until the end of the week report, they really didn't know where you were. So I was living by myself. I was in this sort of job. There really wasn't, you weren't supposed to be anywhere at 9. You didn't arrive in an office with an office full of people, which quite often, or a shop. I wasn't working in retail where I'd turn up and have to be on shift, or a hospital or anything like that. I wasn't expected to report anywhere by, say, 8:39 every morning, do my job and then go home at 5 in the evening. I was on the road quite alone. And I remember I was very unwell. I don't know whether I had food poisoning or a stomach bug or what I had, but I woke in the night and was very, very sick through most of the night. And I remember, you know what it's like when you're going to be sick. You feel like death warmed up. You're shivering, you're sweating. You know it's going to happen. It's inevitable. You feel awful. You look terrible. Well, that was going on through the night. And I remember hardly being able to get back into bed. Felt so unwell with this food poisoning or stomach bug or whatever, norovirus or whatever it was I had at that time. And I remember when you've been vomiting that much and that unwell, you do dramatically think you're never going to get better, and you're at death's door, which it's not. It's just a virus or something like that, gastroenteritis. But as I was sort of leaning over the loo and sat there and shivering, and I realised, oh my God, I had the moment's thought where I thought, if I did die here by myself, no one would know. And at that moment where it hit me that no one would know for potentially days, because certainly the GPs or the doctors' receptionists wouldn't be looking for me or ringing or chasing me or anything. They might be slightly stroppy or put out that I'd wasted their time, but they certainly wouldn't chase and find out, was I all right? Head office, they might try and call me for a different reason or other through the week, but until the end of the week, when I hadn't sent in my end of week report, no alarm bells would have rung for them, and probably not until the next week. In fact, they'd probably think I was just being inefficient and might be in a bit of trouble on the Monday morning phone call with the manager. And whilst I had, of course, a very loving family around me, they all used to ring regularly for a chat, to catch up and all the rest of it. But so often I'd come home and the answer phone at home would say, oh, hello, it's only me. That would be my mum. She would always say, it's only me. Oh, you're out busy. Don't worry, it's not urgent. I hope you're having a good time. Ring me when you've got a mo. So they always assumed, because I was quite sociable and often out, I used to play netball, I used to go running with a group in the evenings through the town with streetlights and things like that, or go to the gym, or I'd go out for dinner with a mate or something. So I was quite socially busy. So any of my family that called, or in fact any of my friends that called, would just assume that meant I was out having a good time. So that moment where I was making friends with the toilet, it really, really hit me that I could be here days. Didn't have my milk delivered or anything like that by a milkman, because, you go to the supermarket now. So no one would have raised the alarm for a good while. Now, that might have been a reflection on those days. And maybe it's different now with our phones going all the time and we're always texting and things like that. Maybe that's an upside to the mobile sort of social media and things like that. But when that hit me, it really, really knocked me for six, where I realised, gosh, this is not good. This is not good, that where I don't really belong to or have anybody. There's not that connection. I haven't got a partner, a living partner, or a family or children that are dependent on me or anything like that. I've got great family and great friends who I dote on and vice versa, but there's not that connection. I'm not, it was just such a stark reality that hit me between the eyes. And I remember it still to this day, vividly remember it to this day. A realization that, oh my God, what is my life about? Where do I belong, and what am I doing with it? Really. And maybe we all have that. Maybe that epiphany, or whatever it's called, if I got the right phrase, or that light bulb moment, where it suddenly dawns on you and you get a real check of your perspective, a real reality check of what's important. And actually, is this the way I want my life? And is this how I had envisaged it? And I think it was a wake-up call. And I think I realised that I needed to take a little bit of a shake-up to my life, and a little bit of prioritise and working out what I did want and what I didn't want. Admittedly, sales is a very, very different type of job, and the environment is very prone to that. But anyway, long story short, that did hit me between the eyes, and it was a real wake-up call. So I can so relate to how it feels when we rightly or wrongly perceive and feel that we haven't really got anybody. Nobody really needs us, or nobody really is there with us. We're not sharing with someone. We're not connected closely in that way, and no one needs us in that way. And that, I think, is quite often what loneliness is, that reality. And then you distort it. Then your negative thoughts distort it, and you believe everybody else has got someone, that key person, that significant other. And they haven't, actually. There are millions of people in the world who are lonely and socially isolated. But in that moment, it doesn't feel it. It feels like it's only you. Often, my worst days were Sunday evenings in particular, where I always felt that everybody else had just had a lovely roast dinner, maybe a glass of wine. They were all sat chilling, watching some Sunday night TV, having an early night ready for work. And I was by myself. It felt like at that time that everybody else in the world had someone, and they were putting their cold feet on someone and warming them up, whereas I wasn't. I guess maybe because my social life often didn't include Sunday evenings. Saturday nights, yes. Friday nights, yes. Sunday nights always felt very isolated. Same too with bank holidays. I actually didn't enjoy bank holidays because, again, it felt, it's not necessarily the case at all, it felt like the rest of the world had people all around them, and were hosting and were socializing, whereas my friends maybe wouldn't be around on bank holidays because they were with their families or something like that. So it's a horrible feeling. So my heart genuinely goes out to anybody that feels that way. And it's not necessarily a reality for them, it's a feeling, it's a perception. And if that's how they feel, then that's their reality. It may not be right. I certainly had relatives and family and friends that did love me. And if they had known that I'd felt that way, they would have, of course, moved heaven and earth to include me or to get me around. But often they would wrongly assume, well, she's so busy, you can never get her, etc., etc. So we the outside looking in wrongly perceive it at times, and the person inside can wrongly receive it looking out. It's not that the rest of the world has got somebody or a significant other or don't feel that way or whatever. So there's lots of distortions and misperceptions. But this time of year, it feels even worse. Partly because of the seasonal changes. There are, you draw your curtains earlier now at 4:30, 5 o'clock, you shut the world out. And if you're living by yourself, that's a long evening that stretches ahead potentially. So the seasonal change can have an impact. It can, it can impact on all of us, can't it? The grey days, the rainy days, it's blowing a gale outside and it's windy, etc. Makes us feel different to when it's a beautiful, glorious day outside. The birds are singing, our windows are open, and we can sit outside. Of course, it makes a difference. But if we're socially isolated or feeling very lonely, it's even worse. So I think the winter makes it worse. On top of that, we've now got Christmas looming. And the problem with Christmas is it's all geared up socially to put pressure on us that we're all supposed to be with loved ones and families and socialise and be happy and have a glass of something and eat and drink and socialise and hug and love and families. It's all the pressure to be happy. So there's also that looming. And again, gosh, if we feel that everybody in the world's got somebody on Christmas Day, Christmas can be such an isolated time. If we haven't got friends or family, or they're away, abroad, or we're abroad, or something like that, physically there's a geographic distance, so we're alone, of course that highlights it, magnifies our loneliness to the point where it physically hurts. Unless you've felt that, you can't describe it. So Christmas and the winter both highlight it. And of course, we have just had a year like no other. COVID has been in so many ways, such a challenge. The fears, the terror of getting ill or a loved one's getting ill, and what will that mean? Trying to stay safe, trying to stay well. But also the rules and the regulations of us not being able to move around, not being able to go out. We can't, at the moment, most of us are in tiers, at the time of recording, tiers 2 or 3. So most of us cannot go out and have Christmas parties or socials or just meet a girlfriend or a mate for a pint or a curry or something. We can't do that. We can go with the people in our household, in tier 2 at the moment, but if we haven't got people in our household, then we can't. Or if we're in tier 3, we can't. So again, with the social constraints and what's going on with the pandemic, that is just worsening isolation and loneliness. The elderly, so many people are by themselves anyway, because they're widows or widowers, and they can't get out and about, and lockdown, and they can't have people in to help them. There's a lovely lady up the road, she's 89, who I've been shopping for since March every week, and I was chatting to her on her doorstep because that's the only way I can chat to her. I can't go in. I'm much more of a risk to her. She's such a lovely lady. I would love to sit and have a cup of tea with her and hear all her stories, but I can't. And she was telling me that she's supposed to be getting some help and assistance because she can't. She's got arthritis in her shoulders. She can't wash her own hair. She can't brush her own hair, and she's struggling. She's got a little tiny travel kettle. That's the only way she can lift a kettle now. Her hands are too weak to make a cup of tea. She's fearful of spilling it, scalding water all over herself. She only has a little tiny milk saucepan to cook any food in because it's too heavy for her. And I would love to be able to help her. But I can't go in. I can't risk it for her. So, of course, she feels more isolated. Her two nieces, I think, can no longer go in and help her either. The lady that used to clean can't go in. I think the lady that cleans does now go in. I think that's about probably the only one that does. So, elderly people who are living still out in their own homes, they're really struggling. all elderly are often struggling because they can't see their families as well. Youngsters, though, don't forget youngsters, teenagers, young ones going off to university, and they can't really mix at university, only really the people in their house. A lot of them aren't really meeting their classmates yet, their subject mates. They're not able to go to the student union bar. They're not able to sign up for all the sports and the activities. So if they don't get on with the few that they've been allocated in their house and they can't come home, they're feeling really, really isolated. New mums. Gosh, when I was a new mum, the first thing I did was to join a mum and toddler coffee morning group at the village hall because, a little baby doesn't say very much. You're at home with them 24/7. You're exhausted. You just want to see a different face, to be able to chat and exchange stories and experiences and learn and laugh and all of that. But new mums now can't go to mum and toddler groups and have coffee mornings or plays or go out to the toddler swimming or toddler massage or toddler singing or whatever that we were lucky enough to do. So they can't make friends with new mums and keep each other sane and comforted. So that's a whole group that's struggling. And then you've got, which I think is very under-talked about, you've got women of my age going through menopause. And trust me, in a house full of males, teenage boys and an older male, it's not something I can sit and chat about. Oh, I've tried. I did say the other day, I think there was something on the news or there's something on the TV that said lots of women go through the menopause by themselves and barely, have no one to talk to or don't talk about it. It's very underspoken and things like that, undershared, that's it. And I said, yes, that's so true. And they all three scoffed at me as if I do share it and talk about it. I don't, I promise. Women going through that, and where did I hear a number? I think it was the other day I heard that 81 million, or was it billion, women right now are going through the menopause across the world. It's a staggering number. All feeling different things, all suffering and struggling in different ways. And it is an unspoken subject, and we do go through it by ourselves a lot. Yes, we might talk to the odd girlfriend about it, but trust me, at 4 a.m. when you can't sleep and you've got insomnia and anxiety because of it and things like that, it is a very lonely time. Loneliness, of course, you may have people around you. You may actually be in a family of 4 or something, but you don't feel connected emotionally and you're not sharing what you're struggling with, whatever that is. So it might be that you are surrounded physically by people. You may be in a house at university with 6 others. So you've got people there, you've got physical beings there, but you feel lonely. It's a feeling, it's a perception. You feel like you haven't got the connection. You feel like you haven't got the contact. So it's not just about being alone physically. It's about feeling lonely. So I guess what I'm saying today is let's all of us look for it, whether it's in ourselves, and talk and open up about it. So if we turn to others and say, actually, all I needed to do at that moment was phone my family and tell them, oh my God, I have realized what I'm doing. I do appear to be out all the time, but actually I'm not. I'm just filling my diary because I didn't want to be at home by myself. I was filling it in a panic. And in fact, I do remember if I ever opened my diary, which I had one of those old Filofaxes because I was a sales rep and needed it, a big one, leather-bound Filofax. If I opened that socially and looked ahead to the week ahead and didn't have anything in there, I would panic. I would physically panic thinking I've got nothing planned, and I would endeavour to try and fill those voids so that I could avoid physically being at home in that flat by myself. So watch out for those sorts of signs in others. So what to look for? Well, often people may stop chatting and opening up about how they're feeling first. They may show signs of not being bothered lost their motivation, can't be bothered. I mean, the trouble is with COVID now, most of us aren't dressing up into work clothes anymore. I've had so many Zoom coachings with people who I swear are in their pyjamas. I don't mind, it doesn't make any odds to me. But they're certainly in their casuals, which is fine, and they're relaxed at home. So we're not putting makeup on and things like that as we might have been previously. But look out for signs where people aren't looking after themselves. They can't be bothered. They've lost their motivation. If you're at work, you can often tell because they're non-productive. They're just not as productive as they were before. They haven't got that drive. Their mood is low, they're maybe overeating, they can't be bothered, they're not looking after themselves physically or mentally. It can go into depression, or the two can be hand in hand. So look out for those signs and ask them, talk to them, say that you're worried about them, and be there for them. Drop them a text, phone them, drop them a letter. Once we're out of different tiers and things get better, knock on their door, suggest a walk with them if you're in tier 2 or 1. Plan a walk with them at the weekend, or a cycle ride or something. Just really, really make them, if you can, really encourage them out. Give them something to look forward to. Let them know that they're really loved and cared for. If it's you, also you reach out. There's nothing wrong. It's nothing wrong. It's not your fault. But trust me, A, you will feel better for it. B, your health will benefit from it. As I've said, there are so many health links with isolation. Loneliness is supposed to be more dangerous than smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It takes years off your life. You are reduced longevity through loneliness, or it can have long-term loneliness. We might all have small periods of time of loneliness, but long-term. So this is worth you. In the same way, if you had, I don't know, real pains in your side, or real swelling in your knee or something like that, you might go and get some help for it. You might go to a physio, or you might go to the GP, or you might go out and buy some anti-inflammatories. You would do something about it. You wouldn't just suffer with it, in pain, with swelling, with immobility, and it's keeping you awake at night. You would want to sort that out. See it as the same thing. See it as a health issue, because it is, and it will, if you have it long term, become a health issue. We also, when we're feeling lonely, have distorted mindset and distorted thoughts. We're much more likely to think negatively. We're much more likely, in fact, to see the outside world as more threatening and a more dangerous place, because we distort our thinking when we're feeling very lonely / some depression as well. And of course, if we're feeling that way, if we're feeling it's a threat out there, or it's dangerous out there, those sorts of thoughts, we are less likely to go out there. So it becomes self-fulfilling. It's a vicious cycle. We have got to change our mindset about it. In fact, actually, I heard someone on the TV say today, it was a comedian actually, and he was saying that on the road when he's touring, he's driving on the road every day, and he does his stand-up comedy, and then he drives to the next place. He had told he was really, really feeling incredibly lonely and isolated, because he's a one-man, comedian. And he was saying how his negative thoughts were dragging him down, and he changed the word lonely in his head to he changed loneliness to solitude, and he said that felt better. Lonely felt like a victim. It felt negative. It felt maybe rubbish. I've messed up. I failed. I think that's how I felt in the flat when I was ill. I felt, oh my God, what has my life come to? What have I done in life to have ended up like this? I felt a failure, or an element of that. So you're not. And these are just periods of time, and you can change your mindset about it, change how you're seeing it, and then do something about it. Just as you would a really swollen bad knee, you would do something about that, or many other illnesses and things. So start addressing it as a health thing, right? I've got a bad knee, I've got a bad kidney, or I've got my lungs I've got a bit asthma, you would go out and try and be checked for asthma, and you would use an inhaler, for example. You wouldn't just put up with it. You would do something about it. You would need to, you'd have to. This is the same. So change that mindset about it. And I would definitely say over Christmas, give yourself a break from social media. In fact, when you're feeling lonely, the worst thing for that is to look through social media and make it a million times worse by seeing what a great life everybody else apparently has. The great things they're doing, the great photos. Look at me. Oh, I'm off here now. And oh, I'm doing this. Or social comparisons are the worst thing. That's like just bashing your knee further with a bit of a sledgehammer or something. You just wouldn't do that further. Don't do that. So social media can reach out to your friends and send them in fact, actually, I was just about to record this when when somebody I'm in a group chat with some friends, and one sent a cartoon picture, and said there are 30 bands, rock bands or whatever, groups hidden in this picture. Can you name them all? And then everybody in this chat was just sending back. It was pinging and beeping, and I got completely drawn in. Now, I didn't chat to anybody, but I felt so connected to them all, because as one of us put up The Jam, another one put up Police, another one put Radiohead up, and we were all, it was just ping, 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 ping. And I knew we were all there. And then someone said, aren't any of you doing any work in the group? And I replied, I was until now. Anyway, so you can feel connected. You don't have to talk to them. So social media can have some benefits, but don't go through scrolling through Facebook and Instagram at everyone's pictures and photos of a magnificent Christmas with all their friends with Christmas hats on and toasting and champagne or New Year's Eve or whatever they're doing. Don't do that to yourself. You'll just be torturing yourself. Have a break from social media. Instead, watch some YouTube, or there are other platforms that can bring you good things, Netflix and things like that. And reach out. Journal, as I always say, journaling can be really helpful, because you can get your emotions out. If there's no one there for you to talk to the journal. Get them all out, express how you're feeling, and get your emotions out onto paper. That will really help. It's as effective as talking therapies. And over Christmas time, there won't be the talking therapies. There are, however, lots of charities. For the elderly, there's Age UK, of course, there always is. And Silver Linings. No one wants anybody to feel alone. And there are Samaritans, there's Mind, there are numerous places. There are so many different local charities for loneliness and isolation as well. So reach out to those. One of the best antidotes of loneliness is to actually volunteer and give to other people. Become a volunteer yourself. Buddy other people, mentor other people, do some charity work. Particularly as we're all at home with Zoom, do some Zoom work, or send out a message and try and get a small group together of other people who are having Christmas by themselves because of COVID, because of social isolation, because maybe they're vulnerable, so they're choosing to have Christmas, or you might be choosing to have Christmas alone. Connect with Zoom, connect with charities, do some voluntary work. If it's not you and you're worried about somebody else or a neighbour, then reach out to them. Make contact with them on Christmas Day and Christmas night and Boxing Day, and just make contact with people. So take the control if you can. That it's a choice. We've got to take control. See it as a big injured knee or a condition that an illness with a kidney or a lungs or something, and do what you would do if you had that. You would seek help. You would seek some treatment, some help, and the treatment and the help are other people. It's connection and getting those relationships and giving back and giving to you through going out there and being connected and giving yourself a break from social media. All of that are the treatments, all of those things. So I wanted you to know that if this is you, you're not alone. You're not alone. Millions of people are in the same boat. I know how it feels, and because I know how it feels, I also am more than happy to open up like a Zoom chat group. If any of you are feeling lonely, or if any of you have anybody that is isolated and alone in that way, then get them to drop me an email, because I was thinking today that I could have just a group who are all experiencing the same, that feel that they haven't got anybody, and we could just do for free maybe a weekly Zoom catch up, or I could facilitate it, and people get on there and speak and share and laugh or cry or anything they want, but just a Zoom slot that we have maybe weekly or more. And then people can decide, once they've connected and they made friends, a couple of friends, they can be putting their own Zooms in or their own WhatsApps in or whatever. So it might be a way that people can meet others, or I just facilitate it and just oversee it, or who knows what may come out of it for them. So if this is you, and I spoke to you, as it were, in terms of this is how you're feeling right now, then I would be very happy for you to drop me an email, or if it's a friend or a loved one, then send them my details, get them to email me, and I will for free do that for the next few months, until we can get COVID behind us, till we can get out and about, till people can feel better, till the spring, till the weather turns, and just maybe weekly support those people, get them all together on Zoom and see what comes of it. Because it can sometimes just be one thing that they look forward to, or you look forward to. So please spread that word. Get them to send me an email. They can entitle it Social Isolation Group or something like that, or Friendship Group, or Not Alone Group, something like that. And then I'll know that it's not coaching that they're after, it's contact. So spread the word, please do. I would love to be able to help people who feel the way I did a few years ago. It's horrible. Now, we come to the end of this week's podcast episode. www.milestone-coaching.co.uk if you want to have a look at the website. That's where you or your friends can contact me. You can do the email little button there, or the contact me button. There's all sorts of different ways. Have a look through it. If this episode has resonated with you for somebody, then even just send them a link of this podcast. Just cut and paste the link of this episode and send it to them and say, I've been thinking of you. Listen to this, and maybe this would be able to help you. I miss you, or something like that. You just don't know what gift that may be for them, and what might come of it for them. So please share this episode. All my website details. If you're new to this podcast, if you've just listened for the first time, there are at least 78, I think now, or more, previous episodes on a whole host of different subjects, from communication skills to CV writing to goal setting to overcoming the winter blues, to changing your mindset, to overcoming anxiety, to overcoming self-sabotage and fear. There's just millions, well, not millions, that's me exaggerating there, 78 actually. So go back and listen to the previous episodes. If you are new, it's probably best to start at number 1 and go that way for at least the first 10 or so, because they kind of give everything that you need for you to sort of change your mindset, for you to take control of your mind and your thoughts and make changes in your confidence and your self-belief. Rather than listen to last week's and the previous one and go backwards. It would make much more sense in terms of the content to listen at the beginning. You'll see why once you've listened. And please spread the word. It'd be great to get the word out so that other people can get what they need from it. They may not want all of the episodes, but there may be a couple that stand out for them if they're job hunting or goal setting or whatever it is. They can just seek those few. The last thing to mention, of course, is that the Christmas gift vouchers are up on the website too. Just click on that tab, go to that page. There are 2 options. You can gift somebody 2 coaching sessions, or you can gift somebody 3 coaching sessions. but you can't pay for it through the website because I haven't got the payment scheme set up. But if you drop me an email, I can give you the bank details and send you an electronic voucher that you can print off and give to them on Christmas morning. Or I can do it printed off and put it in a nice envelope and send it to you or them, whoever. I think that's everything. That's all the admin done. I just wish you all a really, really good week. Take care, stay strong, and I will speak to you on next week's episode of Life Coaching on the Move.